Today is a good day. Today is going to be a lot of fun. We are here to celebrate and honor mental wealth. I'm sorry, well, not really, Mental Health Awareness Month. And I'm really hoping that the invites got updated because I had a tad bit of a technical issue, which you guys are not surprised about. That's the one thing that's consistent about every show I do, every live. I am 100% going to have some technical issues. So we get started in 9 minutes. I am going to try to make sure the rest of my speakers have this link. And I'll check back with you in a little. Oh, hi, Chris. Oh my God, Chris. Sorry, we're live, and I just acted completely inept because Chris is here. So let me bring you up on the stage. Oh my gosh, I miss you so much.
Hi, Sherelle. Oh my God.
And you got your Phoenix Speak shirt on. You have you're repping the Phoenix Speaks team. I love it. I love it. Hi, Chris. Okay, good. So I'm glad that you were able to make it on. I don't know. I need to check and see if LinkedIn is still connected. Because I had to start it all over today. You know how me and technology.
Mm-hmm.
My friend. What mental wealth deposits do you have that you want to share today, other than you just being the most outstanding person in the entire state of Massachusetts? But other than that,
Well, one huge mental wealth deposit for today is I have been doing a lot of preparation for rehearsals for my Toastmaster speech tonight.
yeah,
And it's going really, really well.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Um, Hold on. Let's see. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy that you're still doing that. I'm just overjoyed that you are doing that. That's awesome.
Thank
Uh,
you. Thank you so much. I mean, it's been a long time coming because it's been a minute since I've done a speech because the last time was like 3 months ago.
mhm.
But my focus for this time is writing a speech with a specific purpose, which I feel like I have nailed down. So the meeting's tonight. Can't wait.
It's tonight. Oh my gosh. What perfect timing. This is like literally serendipitous. Like this is actually how things have been working for us, right? Like we say a thing, like I'm like, you're gonna go to Toastmasters and become this phenomenal speaker, and you're like, yeah, actually I'm doing that. I'm doing exactly that. I'm so proud of you. That's awesome. That's awesome. Tonight's gonna be amazing. I don't want to have you spoil it and tell me what the topic is. But I'm excited. If you guys record it, please do share it. The team would love to see it. So,
Definitely. Yeah. I plan on having someone record it on my phone for me, and I will
mhm.
be sharing it with all of you as soon as possible once I get that. It'll take a minute, but you'll see the link. So.
I am excited. I can't wait. Oh man, Chris Loriano, y'all. Let me tell you a little bit about this gentleman. So when he and I first met, I don't know what's going to happen if I toggle away from here, but if when we first met, we had the opportunity to be on a group together or in an organization together, and it was amazing. Like we met some great folks, but we definitely just kind of hit it off, and um, it's just been great ever since. I've grown a lot, and Chris has been a great part of that evolution for me, making sure that I can remain focused and centered, and making sure that we never forget our vision and our mission statement to save lives. Chris actually works in this space every day. So, as a peer support specialist, he not only works with people with shared lived experience, but he also is coaching other people to do the same, which is that servant's heart that we talk about all the time. It is a true example of what we are supposed to be doing as human beings, especially during times like this. So, Chris, I honor you. I thank you so much for being a part of this team. I don't know what we would do without you. You definitely keep us real, right? And make sure that there's no hashtag BS going on. And even if it's not really that, if it perceives itself as such, you've been a great resource to make sure that we stay on track and that we get the things done that we say that we are. So, I got some surprises for you today too. So there's some things I've been working on while you're off, doing your Toastmasters thing. I am preparing stages for you to perform, or to speak and to share your message. So that's what today is about. I really hope that this tech works. I hope that people are logging on from LinkedIn. I'm going to see if anyone's over there because I had to send out last minute link info. You know how that goes. Yeah, so let's see. Let's see what's going on LinkedIn. And if it ends up just being the two of us, which it has been before, we know how to make it work. Now, it seems like there's some kind of filter on your screen. So let me see if I can fix that.
Oh, you know what? I think it's more so on my end because for like the longest time, my webcam has been kind of a little not gray, but it's been a little bit fuzzy.
Okay.
So I think it's one of those things where, like, you know how it is like with webcams and laptops where sometimes the whatever's causing that happens inside the webcam versus outside. Yeah. And I can't get to it unless I totally take it apart, which I'm not going to do that. So
we're not doing that. Yeah. I get it. All right. Let me try to send this email to these guys really quick. Anthony, Wendy, and oh my gosh, I have such good news for you. I'm so happy you're here. And nope. And okay. We still have a couple of minutes before we're scheduled to go live, so we got some time.
Okay.
I had to remind myself to slow down. Now, was it difficult for you to get into this call today?
No, I actually I went into my Outlook email and I just clicked on the link and put my name in, and that was it. So it was perfect.
Okay, cool. Well, I just sent the link to the team via email. I don't know if I can, and then I'm going to forward it to them in text just in case. Because, last minute changes, you know how much we love those. You know how much we love those last minute changes. So let me see. Next speaks. So the weather in Texas today, in Dallas today, feels like it probably feels up there. It was like 66 this morning.
Yeah, I think today it's supposed to be around 70 or in the low 70s, although it's up here, it's like slightly muggier than it has been the past couple days where it's been like in the upper 60s and sunny and everything and no mugginess at all. So today's a little bit more on the muggy side, but it's still nice.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of the same here. Like it's like not sunny, not rainy, not, it's a little bit of everything. So that means everybody has an opportunity to enjoy the outside today. Doesn't matter what you want. It's not raining. In Texas, it's not 107 degrees. So people can actually get outside and walk around and not spontaneously combust. So that'd be great. Let me call. Hold on. I'm gonna put you on mute. And I was going to put music on, and I'm gonna figure out how to do that because I feel like we got some dancing to do today. Chris is like, oh my gosh, really, Sherry?
I don't mind.
We're doing it. We're gonna do some. Let's see. It says chill, so we'll do some chill music. Can you hear that?
Yep, I can.
All right. So we'll let that play for a little bit. We still have a minute. Let me try to grab the guys. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna mute my phone.
Okay.
There's no link on it.
Sherry, I think you're muted.
I just had a whole conversation with y'all and y'all didn't hear it. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for joining. Let me bring all of my folks up on stage. Wendy's here, and Mr. West is here, and Chris Loriano are here. So today is a part of Mental Health Awareness Month. And you know that the work that we do here is focused 100% on creating mental wealth. I did an Instagram live last night that was very spontaneous. It was very impromptu. Something in my gut just said, "Hey, you need to talk to some folks, and you need to give them some good news." And I did that. It was an hour and a half long Instagram live that went over topics that were good things. They were mental wealth deposits only. It was all that was required. I wouldn't have anything else. And I was so blessed by this call. A gentleman came on this Instagram that I've never met before. I had to take a risk and let him come up on stage on this IG live. I thought it was a woman initially. And this gentleman talked so much about all of the things that are going on in our lives right now, the bad news that we're being surrounded by, and the changes and all of the things that are outside of our control. And he reminded us that the only thing we can control is what's happening within self, and that we need to go first inside self to, again, I didn't know this guy, but that's just how the universe works. And so I decided that today I want to introduce some new folks to our Phoenix Speaks family. I want to talk about some of the great things that we're doing, because very rarely is anyone sharing anything good. Agreed? Is it just me? Maybe it's just my algorithm. Are you guys getting like a whole bunch of good news in your you are? Of course you are, Wendy. Wendy's like, yeah.
Often have.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. West, what about you? You got any good news flowing in through through all of your channels? Looks
frozen.
He's frozen. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll come back. There you are. Hey, welcome.
I'm still frozen. Yeah, I said it's hit and miss.
Yeah. It depends. That's true. Well, today is just hit. Today is all good stuff. We're going to talk about some wonderful new projects that we're working on. But before we start that, I'm going to talk about Miss Wendy Watson. We're going to introduce her first. We'll talk to her about what she's doing to create mental wealth in her community with the groups that she's working on, especially with her conference, and a really amazing anthology opportunity for 2026. So Wendy, why don't we start with you, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, I am doing a conference next year. It'll be my second annual conference. Yay. I just hosted one this year. It's called the SAS Cash and Class Conference, because we can have it all without feeling like we need to sacrifice anything. And next year, the focus on that it's a new era for women. We are reconnecting in our relationships differently. We are marketing and branding differently. We're in relationship with our finances differently. And just embracing all of these changes that women are going through. And a lot of the material is applicable for men too. And then the anthology I'm doing is called Listen for the Love.
Mm.
What does that mean to you? Are you listening for the words? Are you listening for the tone of voice? Is there a story? Is there an example? Like, what does that mean to you to listen for the love? Is it through active and intentional listening? Is it through just paying attention and being aware of how people are treating you, or how you're teaching people to treat you? There's all kinds of different ways to interpret listen for the love. Mm-hmm. And so I want to get a whole bunch of stories in there on this topic, because I think, ever since the 5 Love Languages book came out, people are starting to pay attention to that a little bit more. However, I think there's still some improvement that we can make there on how to communicate our love languages, what we need, how we know which ones we know how to give, all the different components to that. And so, yeah, let's explore that and share some stories.
I love it. I had an opportunity to be on Wendy's podcast, It was so much fun. And I actually learned some stuff about myself, which I am literally in that season of life. I'm only here to learn more about myself. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be on your podcast. Thank you for being a part of the Phoenix Speaks tribe and family and always supportive, always ready to help. Even yesterday when I had a little bit of a brain challenge, we'll call it. And I'm like, Wendy, help. And she called right away. So thank you for being that mental wealth deposit for not just me, but the women that you support, the entire planet, because when women are well, so is the earth. So
yes. Well, and thank you for being on and for being so vulnerable and sharing things on my episode that you had never shared before.
I did.
You know, it takes a lot of courage and strength to be that vulnerable on that kind of an episode. So I appreciate that very much.
Well, thank you. And know that the environment had to be right for that, right? We always talk about what pronoia is. I'm going to see if everybody, let's see which one of these two gentlemen can give me a definition of pronoia. Mr. West, let's start with you. What you got?
The opposite of paranoia, not being worried, but being confident.
Mic drop. Okay. I mean, that's amazing. Chris, what you got?
And I'll add to that if I'm correct, that pronoia is also that whatever is supposed to happen will happen in its own time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not just a word, guys. It's not just something made up. It's an actual thing. When you wake up in the morning, you're like, today's going to be amazing. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what amazing looks like exactly, but I know that today is going to be amazing. Then when those amazing things happen, you are self-affirming what you started your day off with, right? Oh, I said today was going to be amazing. And it was. Starting off this event was challenging, but I know that I always have exactly the right people with the exact right message every time because I'm operating in that state of pronoia. So thank you, gentlemen. That's awesome. All right, Mr. West. I'm good.
Hey,
Thank you. I'm good now. If you'd called me like 15 minutes ago, different statement. But
Pronoia.
Pronoia. See,
Pronoia.
I told y'all they got to keep me honest. Thank you. So please do introduce yourself and tell the viewers who you are, what you do, and what you do as a part of the Phoenix Speakers Academy.
Okay, my name is Obi West. I am an advocate. I'm an advocate. I'm a father. I'm an advocate for abuse reduction. I specialize specifically in sexual assault and harassment prevention. So I travel around and talk to organizations, mainly organizations who have a mandatory requirement to address that topic. And we talk about ways to mitigate abuse, ways to respond to it, ways to show up as an ally to someone who has been abused. Emotional intelligence. We talk about trauma bonding. So we talk about all things connected to abuse and abuse reduction in order to try to help people be better prepared to address those things whenever they're faced with it.
Thank you so much for the work that you do. I love that the work that you do it using a very particular medium that's a little kind of unheard of. Do you want to talk about what that's like, what that medium is?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a spoken word artist, so I use poetry in order to facilitate the presentations. Normally, I was in an organization for 21 years where we had these type of trainings. And even as a person who is connected to the importance of the topic, they would have these slideshows, and slides are like melatonin to me. So I would see the slide and I would be disassociated. I would be on an island somewhere. So I don't use slides. I use poetry to introduce the topic, and then we discuss the topic, not the poem. So the reason why I feel like that's effective is because as people, we're driven by emotion, right? We're not driven by data. We're driven by emotion. Data is on the back of a Snickers bar. Data is on the back of a cigarette pack. The nutritional facts are there, but we still use these things. But if we go to the hospital and we're diagnosed with something that might kill us as a result of that thing, then we'll stop using that thing. So the emotional impact had to be the catalyst for the change versus just the data. So I feel like if I'm facilitating training and I'm just inundating with data, then I'm probably not creating a call for action. But if we use spoken word to ignite emotion and then we talk about the data, Now someone may want to do something a
I
little
love that.
different.
And I love that. And I don't know if you are already following Obi West. If you are not, stop everything and go follow him on his Instagram page or his website, Words of West, because I've attended one of your,
Thank
oh, is it
you.
Words of West or no?
It is. Thank you.
But I had the honor of attending one of these private sessions here in Dallas, and it was the most transformative time in my adult life because I was able to not. I wasn't on stage. No, I didn't have to have on a mask and be, perfect. I was kind of vulnerable, right? And to see a room full of people engaging together, he has a very amazing structure of maxing out these events. And as speakers, we've got to be careful when we're speaking for our income, that our message doesn't get lost in that. And so, Mr. West, tell us a little bit about the private session formatting and why you chose that. Why you chose that?
Great question. The format she's referring to is the private session. What a private session is, it's a poetry event. It's the same. It's facilitated or it's structured the same way an advocacy presentation would be structured, where I pick a certain topic and there's a concentrated discussion on that topic. And parts of the topic, the subcategories of the topic, are introduced through poetry, and then there's discussion. So if the topic is love, we'll start with my definition of love, and then we'll go into discussion. Now the format is I limit it to 40 people. I've been in rooms with 300 people, and it was absent of connection. I could only see the front row because there was a light in my face. But if it's 40 people, then I can look everyone in the room in their eye. Everyone feels like they're part of the presentation, and it's kind of like after school tutoring, where you need somebody who needs a one-on-one session because they learn better in close quarters. I try to create that dynamic with everyone who's in the room. So I may miss out on a lot of money because I'm not opening the doors to a lot of people, but the fulfillment for me is the connection. So the format is I limit it to 40 people in a small, intimate space that probably doesn't have a bar where somebody's shaking ice while we're talking, and I make it about
I
the
love that.
audience.
I actually was expecting somebody to shake ice because I always want a nice libation when I'm at an activity. But I do very much appreciate that we were able to focus 100% on the words that you were saying and connect on a human level, which we don't do a lot of, right? Right now, we're in Zoom meetings. Right now we're in all different states and cities, and we lose that human connection. So one of the reasons Mr. West is a part of this is because I've seen him transform a room, right? Speaking is not just about speaking, it's about the transformation. And we don't always do it just for income. We do it for impact. And so thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Excited about this year and what we'll do together. But yeah, I love it. What feedback do you have, Chris, or questions for Mr. West? Chris, you got any questions? Wendy, what do you got? I saw you do your.
I know. So when he was talking about poetry, so I am a big Shakespeare fan. What perspective do you come from, or what style do you use in your poetry?
The spoken word, so it's very theatrical. It's very straightforward. There's not a lot of sugar, right? It gets right down to it. So it's very theatrical. It's emotional driven. There's a very creative aspect to where there's relationships between syllables. So there's also a sonic appeal in addition to the content. And when you ask from what angle, it just depends on what the topic is. If I'm talking about drug abuse, I might assume the position of somebody who has an addiction to heroin and present a point from that standpoint, so that now someone who has been critical of those type of people have a deeper understanding of why and how that compulsion exists. Now they have a little bit more empathy when they're connected to somebody who's dealing with it. So I assume the position of whoever it is that's connected to that topic.
I love that.
Yeah, it seems like it's almost like persona-based poetry, right? And I'd not experienced that before, being a lover of poetry. I'd not experienced. He did. Oh my gosh, I'm about to explain a bit of this scenario. Obi did a poem about. I don't remember the topic, but he was having a conversation with someone in the room that literally we all were like, who is he talking to? Like, it was so amazing because he's like, hey, what are you doing here? And I thought it was me. obviously, right? I'm in the back of the room, like I can't see who is he talking to, but it was him in these two places, right? He's like having that conversation, a spoken word presentation, but the theatrical, yes, 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 I know, I hear you, I'll get to it, was intriguing. It was captivating. And it talked about, I'm sorry, I don't remember the topic. I just remember that delivery mechanism being something that I hadn't seen before when it comes to spoken word. So that's hopefully an example of an answer to your question.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a little scared though, honestly. At some point, I was like, maybe, maybe someone's standing there and I'm just missing it. Chris, what about you? What feedback do you have for Mr. West?
Well, I mean, I think it's really wonderful, and I can sort of relate to this, but from a different perspective. I haven't done spoken word poetry, but I can just imagine that sort of personifying, for lack of a better expression, someone who has been through lived experience, whether it's with substance use or, even with mental health or other topics that you bring up, that in some ways it can really shine a lot of light and perspective on sort of the focus on what the person actually goes through to some degree on a daily basis. And it can be something that in some ways can inspire hope, and that, they're not alone in some ways. I'm sure there's other messages that you mentioned too, but I guess it's sort of leading to the question, and I don't know if this necessarily applies to the work that you do or not, but in what ways does what you do inspire hope in other people, especially for those who may have the lived experiences and the messages that you bring?
And that's a great question, actually. I think two things that actually give people hope. One is knowing that they're not alone in a certain situation. So, whenever you address a situation and somebody who's going through that walked in the room feeling like they were the only person struggling with it, and now they leave learning that they're actually part of the majority, then it automatically creates a support system around them. They feel like they can reach out and not be ostracized or looked at as a weirdo. So it provides hope by one letting people know they're not the only individual dealing with a certain problem, and then there's perspective. I think information is very, very limited in the absence of perspective. If I have this information but I only know one way to use it, then I only know one way to use it. But if I have this information and I know 50 ways to use it, then I'm a little bit more powerful. So it lends perspective, and it gives people different options on how to use different information so that now they can help themselves, or they have more options on how to help someone else. So those two things, creating a support system and then giving additional perspective so that you can employ your information at a vast rate, I think is what gives people hope.
I think
Wow, that's really, really powerful. I mean, and I'll just say this really quick, but I would imagine that it also helps people to sort of, not only be entertained, but to critically think about all the perspectives that you're bringing in terms of helping us become more well-rounded individuals as a part of creating mental wealth. So I can imagine that that's also another benefit. So I really appreciate you for answering the question.
You're dead on. Thank you so much for
All
asking.
right. Now, Chris, tell us a little bit about you and what you do. I know we did that kind of before the show started because I was cheating a bit. But do definitely introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit, not just about what you do, but what you do as a part of the Phoenix Speaks team.
Well, so I live in Massachusetts, and I work as the director of a training and internship program at a human service agency called Bay Cove Human Services in Boston, Massachusetts. So I'm in the mental health human services sector and have been for many years. The program that I am the director of is called the Recovery Education and Learning Program, or the REAL program for short. Which is an 8-week training and internship program for anyone that has lived experience receiving services from the mental health and public health systems in the state that are interested in wanting to do work in healthcare or human service fields. So in particular, I'm certified as a peer specialist, which is a role that kind of somewhat indirectly aligns with what Mr. West shared with us. But as a peer specialist, I am someone who has lived experience with mental health struggles myself for a lot of my life. And additionally, I am a neurodiverse person, which, to be more specific, I am someone that has been diagnosed with a form of autism in the early 90s and am living with that each day. And what I do as a peer specialist in the state is I share parts of my lived experience as another way to inspire hope in individuals that are going through something similar so that they don't feel alone. And there's more to the role than that, but that's the main central piece that's required in terms of the role. As far as running the training and internship program, there is a 4-week training that I run for anyone that wants to get into doing work as a peer specialist, but also for anyone that wants to do more clinical work. So if they decide they want to be a counselor, a clinician, a therapist, or psychiatrist or the like, that training is for those folks who want to get into that. And then there's short-term 4-week internship options for some of those roles to help kind of get their feet wet to see if this is something that they want to do. And I've been running the program for a little over 5 years, and I just had a huge celebration event, which is my huge mental wealth deposit, where I have been celebrating impacting over 200 lives over the past 5 years, with many people going into the human services field. And the reason why that, along with the peer support work that I do, is so powerful is because, and some of you that are listening out there may or watching this may or may not have experienced this, but I support a population of people that are often experience different forms of disenfranchisement with the mental health system in particular, and often feel that they have very little to no options left because of the way that the system is set up. And so what my job is in many ways is to not only share my story to inspire hope, but to also support people in whatever their goals are, whether it's based on their professional or personal recovery goals or both, as a way to help bridge the gap so that people can truly have what they need to create the life path that they need to create. So in a way, I'm not only creating mental wealth for myself, but I'm doing that in support of other people as well for them. And that they, in their own way, because of being able to create their own life path, they get to have their own mental wealth deposits as a result of that. So it's sort of like a tree that just grows and grows in terms of branches and the amount of leaves that exist. So that's primarily what I do for that. And I also work for another agency where I provide peer support training consultant work for a small amount of hours per month. But even though it's a small amount of hours, they're each of them very valuable hours. So that's what I do on that end. And as far as what I do for Phoenix Speaks, what I do is I am here to really bring that perspective to ensure that all the conversations that happen regarding mental health and suicide prevention and how to help many different communities of people with creating their own mental wealth is to being able to bring the peer specialist perspective into it, because it is something that I believe is truly transformative, that can really impact lives in ways that we have never really expected before. So that's what I do for Phoenix Speaks, as it's another perspective that, just like with mental health treatment or with other resources that exist, that peer support can also be something that is valuable. And one thing I'll end with is that peer support isn't about mental health, really. It's actually something that has always existed since the beginning of the human species. And what I mean by that is we all have lived experiences with different things. And there's camaraderie that we often share, not just with mental health, but with things not related to that, that we may share similarities with. And so when that camaraderie happens and we support each other, that's peer support, right? So it is such a universal, transferable skill. So even though I work in the mental health sector, it is a framework that is so transferable to everyone and what challenges we face. And I feel like that's really a unique perspective to bring regarding the creation of individual and even community mental wealth, which is really something that I focus on as well. So for me, I bring the lens to Phoenix Speaks of not just creating mental wealth individually, but creating community mental wealth, which is just as important. So that's what I do.
That's new. That's a new spin, Chris. I like that. We're not just doing it for ourselves. We're building community mental wealth. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of this team. Thank you for also keeping me honest. So Chris is the one that on our staff meetings, if I say something like, "Man, today was tough" or "It was hard," Chris is like, "Well, let's make that withdrawal into a deposit." And so he has to keep me on track sometimes too, because life is lifing. It's not always easy. It's not always deposits. Our life is also full of mental wealth withdrawals, some of them non-consensual, right? Sometimes we don't agree to give up a part of our mental wealth, but it's taken from us based on external circumstances. And so the way this organization is growing now is we are making sure that everyone's voice can be heard. And not just for me, it's from other people who are in different spaces and doing the same work like these wonderful folks on the screen. So again, thank you all for taking time today to be a part of this call. As always, there's never 5 million people watching at that time. So that's never been our goal. But there will always be at least one person that reaches back and says, I needed to hear exactly what you guys had to say today. And that's a very different model, right? People right now want more and more and more. I want a million views every time, every day. But what happens is those messages sometimes get lost and they get diluted because of the massive amount of information. So I'm very conscious of the fact that there's maybe 2 or 3 or 4 people watching right now across multiple channels. But one day this will come up in someone's feed and it very likely could save their lives. So for Wendy and the gentlemen that are here today, thank you. But know that what we're doing is so much bigger than us. We are a part of this kind of human collective. There's so many more of us that have hearts for others. And this is a platform to show that. So I appreciate y'all. And I'm going to do a quick plug of 3 things. And then I'm going to let everybody get back to their day, right? First of all, we talked a little bit about technology and my love of it. But last night I decided to do this IG Live about the program I Am AI. I Am AI is a summer internship program where we are decoding the work of Carl Gustav Jung and his book, The Red Book, which is a huge, it's very different than all of the other work he did. If you're not familiar with Jung, he was, from the Freud era, right? And they were like, here's what is normal mental behavior and abnormal human behavior, and where do you fit? Which archetype describes you? Very known in his field. It's still being studied right now in colleges and universities and programs around mental health. What's very interesting is that I believe one of his most interesting books ever written is The Red Book, where he actually it was handwritten. And it was where he went into himself, met himself, and had a whole conversation with the inner parts of self. And it was a bit, in my opinion, a confession that the work that we do for mental health and mental wealth and mental wellness has to start with us first, right? It has to begin in the beginning. It has to begin on the inside. And so this book is written in a very poetic, the Audible, because we're 2025, right? The Audible is very poetic when listening to it. And I've decided to utilize AI to teach Generation Z and the Alpha generation about the Red Book, because they don't necessarily want to be told how to think or be put into a box of emotions. They're like, I feel what I feel. I don't really know what that is. And I believe that this project, which gives over 100 parents in college and in high school the opportunity to not just read the Red Book, but to revise it based on their own personal persona. Because what we're doing right now, even on this call, we are training AI. We are teaching it what is normal for human beings, and being normal for human beings is communication and taking something that they've read, interpreting it through their experiences, to Chris's point. But the thing is that we're going to put it out there so other people can learn from this book. So the project is called Decoding Jung, I Am AI. We are in the process of building the next generation of philosophers. And I don't believe they have to wait until they pass on to have that title. So I'm super excited about this program. I have way more applications than I expected, which is a huge blessing. And sorry to y'all that I haven't gotten back to, because it's Mental Health Awareness Month. But listen, we're about to change the world. And I believe that this work will help us teach creating mental wealth globally, because people will have a body of students who can speak to it. They'll say, no, I did the summer internship program. Here's how I felt coming in, and here's how I felt when the program was over, when the project was over. So I was super excited about that. I was informed by my chatbot that I'm training that #IamAI is owned by Meta. And it's with everything. So want to give Meta their kudos for the #IamAI because I didn't know they owned it when I thought about it. So there's my disclaimer, my AI disclaimer, to make sure that the AI gets credit for what it does. The next thing I want to talk about is the Phoenix Speakers Academy. And so Chris is the best example ever, because Chris came out, I guess maybe 6 months ago. He's at a meeting and he's like, well, we're planning the speaker conference. Surely I'm going to be one of the keynote speakers, right? Like, I'm ready to do this. And I'm like, have you spoken before? And he's like, nope. I'm like, you know what? That's great. Let us put the tools underneath you. Let's make sure you have the ability to do that effectively. And so, Chris, like, very short, tell us about your experience coming into now becoming a speaker.
Sure. So since that conversation that I had with Sherry about that, over the past few months, I have been attending my local Toastmasters club in Massachusetts to really help me with public speaking. And it's interesting that we're talking about this because I'm in the process of getting ready for tonight's meeting to do my speech. And it has been a huge learning experience thus far, working with my mentor and working with Sherry regarding advice that I'm getting in terms of how to be more effective as a speaker. And I'm gaining so much from it. And this will be my second speech that I'm doing as a Toastmasters member. And it's been really, really helpful. And I'm looking forward to continuously just kind of building on the skills, regarding to become an effective public speaker. My passion, just as an FYI, is to really be able to effectively talk about aspects of mental health regarding, going from the public speaking lens, because there's so much based on my lived experience that I want to say and put out to the world globally. So Toastmasters is a huge part of that, along with Sherry and I meeting as well. And that's been really helpful. And I look forward to continuing that path.
Awesome. Thank you. Wendy and Elby, what feedback on coaching or support would you like to give to Chris in this space?
Ladies first.
You said ladies first, so that's you.
Okay. All right. Embody it. Embody your whole message, embody the emotions, embody the story, the journey, and let that come out through your voice. Let it come out through your body. Let it come out through your emotions and your eyes, and really connect, which I have a feeling Obi already does because of his theatrics. I believe he already does that. So I just did mine, my first professional speech on the biggest stage that I've had so far, just about a month ago. And the biggest compliments that I was getting, even from men, was how moving and how emotional it was. I was the most emotional person at my conference as far as the speakers. And like, I actually saw people like patting their eyes. And so you really want to connect with them that way. And so I say fully embody everything, your energy, emotions, tone of voice, eyes, all of it.
Thank you. Thank you, Wendy.
I have two things. One is there's a lot of fights in the world, right? But everything isn't going to be your fight. But you're going to stand on stage and you're going to do a great job. And then you're going to have people coming and you bringing topics that don't align with what you do. And they're going to offer you a whole bunch of money to do it. And just don't do it. Say, look, that's not what I do. There's somebody better prepared to address that topic. So I'm not going to do it because it's a cash grab, because everything isn't our fight, even though we find it important. So I would just say, stay true to what your fight is. And the second thing that I would say is a lot of issues we have in the world, those issues persist because they're taboo topics. We talk about them in a very, very, very gentle way. We talk about tough topics in a gentle way. It doesn't resonate. It never gets fixed. So don't be afraid to be straightforward with your message, and don't feel the pressure to sugarcoat it to appeal to certain audiences. That the sugar is what doesn't allow us to get the information we need in order for something to be effective. So those are the two things that I would say. And congratulations in advance.
So,
Well, thank you both so much. That both of your pieces of advice really means so much to me, and I think everything that you both said resonated with me, and is another huge mental wealth deposit for me. And I love what additionally, the aspect of being direct with my message and straightforward, because I have a tendency to censor myself, and I know a lot of it is due to personal stuff I've been through as well as professionally. But I feel like now I'm in a space in my life where I'm granting myself the permission and allowing myself to be like, you know what, I can just be straightforward as a speaker and just say things within reason as I feel them, right? In the context that I can, as a keynote, or doing a keynote, or doing a breakout session, what have you. And I'm really going to work on being 10 toes down with that. So thank you all so much. And please wish me luck in my Toastmaster speech later tonight.
we're not, we're not wishing you luck. We're celebrating the success. It is already there. It's already happened, right? So you know that. I was going to say that, Chris, right? So it's already happened. It's already amazing. You are going to say exactly what you need to say in the way that you need to say it, so that the people need to hear it will. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the last thing is this internship program is the beginning of the launch of the Phoenix Speakers Academy. The reason that we have these people on this call today is because there's a thing that a lot of people aren't doing anymore, and it's having human conversations with other human beings. What do you say? And so at the Phoenix Speakers Academy, that is our goal, is to teach communicators. And I mentioned this on my IG Live last night. I don't know if people are going to want to refer to themselves as speakers in 5 years or 10 years, or if they're going to be coaches or influencers, whatever it is. If a person chooses to communicate with another human, there is a specific way to do that. There is a way to do that when you're talking about good news or bad news. And we're going to use AI to train these next two generations how to effectively communicate with other human beings. And so I'm super excited about the kickoff. It's had me completely heads down for the whole first part of the year, but I'm excited to say that we've got some wonderful partners on LinkedIn with us right now who are making sure that we have the funding that we need to have the impact. Remember, we're not doing this for income, we're doing it for impact. And so we are happy to announce that we're ready to launch. We have the full curriculum. We have an LMS provider who can help provide this training to people, if it's an organization, or if it's a school, or if it's a private or charter school, or if it's a person who just wants to attend and become a better communicator. Because all of the people that are part of Phoenix Speaks, we just want people to be able to be a better version of themselves. And we want to make sure that they can do that via communication. So I'm excited to share that. That was the big news I had for all this time. I've been holding back, but we are going to impact lives for the rest of my life, at least. And I'm so honored to have people like the ones that have joined us today as a part of this initiative. We are saving lives one heart at a time. And it doesn't always have to look like this crazy, this is a big, thick document, you've got to read it. No, sometimes we show up on calls and we dance for each other and we celebrate each other. We move our body, we talk, we smile, we get eye contact, and we are showing our children. Our children are watching this. The children of the next generation are watching these things, and they're seeing if we're genuinely communicating or we're just talking to hear ourselves speak. And so I've been very blessed to be able to collect a group of like-minded folk so that we can make a change for this planet. So what's the last words? Anything you want to wrap up? We're coming towards the end. We got 4 minutes. So what is the last thing that you want to leave with our listeners? I will start with Wendy.
Of course.
Because ladies first. I can't not do that after Obi said it.
I know, but I'm still thinking. Come back to me. I'm gonna reserve my right on that one. I want to think of something good. So go ahead and come back.
All right. So I'm gonna go to. I don't know if you have a poem that you could do impromptu, and I'm sure you'll hate me for that. But I'm going to go get my mentally wealthy manifesto, and I'm going to read that So, Obi, if you can give us some, it don't have to be a poem. It could be. But what are your give us some words? Hopefully that they rhyme. I don't know. Uh, give us something, and I'll go get something for Wendy and I. So, can you handle that for me? Can you hold down the fort?
Yeah, no sweat. Yeah, it probably won't be a poem, but I do have some words. I think the reason why we're here is to talk about mental wealth. I think oftentimes we discount how important that is, and we will forfeit the mass of ourselves in order to accommodate other things, and then we'll give ourselves what's left, and then we don't. It's not sustainable. We don't last long. So those people who are dependent on us, at some point, they're going to have to do without us because we didn't take care of our own mental wealth. So I think my message or my closing statement would be not to discount or prioritize other spaces over your own mental wealth. In order for you to be supportive in those other spaces, you have to first put your mask on first, right? And then put everybody else's mask on.
Nice. All right. I like that. Okay, cool.
All right,
All right,
I got
thank you.
one.
You ready?
Ready.
See, Obi got you inspired and worked up. You're like, I got it. I'm ready.
I just needed a few minutes. So my last words is remember who you are. We get so tied up in the emails and the texts and the to-do lists and all the things that we think that that's who we are, but it's not really who we are. And so we get so focused on those that I'm going to invite everybody to think of something that they've done as a kid or adolescent or teen or young adult or something that reminds them of who they are today. That's going to be my invitation for you guys. Think of one thing. I was invited to this conversation last week on why I feel like I'm a rising constellation. From the day I was born, I've done things my own way. And I know this, but sometimes mentally, right? Talking about mental health, sometimes mentally I forget this. And I'm trying to tailor my business to other people's marketing schemes or plans or strategies, or I'm trying to build my finances based off other people's strategies. And so it was a great reminder. I mean, I was born breech. I was telling people off at 2 years old. I was doing spreadsheets and running construction sites before I could drive. I was literally like, I do my own thing. And so it was a great reminder for me of who I really am. And it's changed my marketing. It's changed my profile on LinkedIn and all kinds of things. So what is one thing that you have done as a child or adolescent or young adult to remind you who you are at the root of who you are today?
I like that. I like it. Take a look at the roots to see where the fruit came from. I love it. Awesome. All right, Chris, you want me to go next? Because look, this is what I'm going to be reading. This is the poem that AI wrote about me, and so I would love to hear your feedback, especially the spoken word artists on the phone. See how do you judge AI as a spoken word or as a poet? We'll see how that goes. Chris, you want to go?
Sure. Yeah. So one thing I would like listeners and watchers of this live, even after this live is done, to really think about is think about at least one thing that you can do to inspire hope in someone else. Because at the end of the day, one of the things I mentioned earlier is not only creating individual mental wealth, but creating community mental wealth. So I think it's extremely important to think about how you can be a source of inspiration and hope for somebody else once you've begun and made progress in your own inner work, whatever that entails. That is a mantra that I do my best every single day to live by, because it is so important to me given my lived mental health experience. So even if it's not mental health related, just really take the time to kind of reflect on what it means to be with community, to be part of a sense of community. Because at the end of the day, we all need each other, right? As cliche as that may sound, we all do need each other. And so if you can think of one way to inspire hope in someone else and to create a ripple domino effect that lasts beyond our generations so that we're passing the torch, then that's really key. And it doesn't have to be anything huge. It can be something as simple as the way that you interact with a family member or a friend every day, or it could be how you may support a student. So it really all depends on what the situation is, but it can also be, larger advocacy efforts as well. So whatever you can think of within, the context of your life where you can inspire hope in somebody else, think about at least one way that you can do that every single day, no matter how big or small. Because at the end of the day, mental wealth is something that is really important. If we're going to make this global, which we will, then it needs to be from a community perspective.
Thank you.
So that's it.
Awesome.
Can I jump in there right quick before you read the poem? I wanted to say something. Chris, you said something earlier about 200 people within what time frame?
Within 5 years.
5 years. So one, I just wanted to tip my hat to you for that, because I'm sure those are the 200 people that you affected directly, and then they affected about 5 people apiece. So that's probably about 1,000 people. So I just wanted to tip my hat to you for that. That's all.
Thank you so much. That really means a lot. It really does.
That. This is exactly what I mean by creating mental wealth. I mean, other than the time that we've spent, this was something that we didn't pay for. We're not charging for it. This is what we are chosen and called to do. And I'm so honored to be surrounded by people like you. You keep the wind beneath this phoenix's wings. And I want to make sure that you know how much I appreciate each of you. And nothing happens by accident. The right people were on this call today, and the right people will see this later or live. And so we're just going to keep moving. We're going to keep working. We're going to keep lifting up communicators so that people understand who they are at their true self. We're going to utilize one of the forefathers of psychology, Carl Jung, but we're going to put a twist on it. We're going to be like, hey, Carl Jung was here today. What would he say in the Red Book? And it's going to be an amazing amount of fun. So back to finally finish off, the Mentally Wealthy Manifesto was written about me after a prompt on LinkedIn. I want to say it was, I don't remember who asked it. I forget, but I think it was Iram, my friend Iram Jones. And she said, ask AI, what does it know about you? Like, tell me something about myself that I don't know. And what came of it was a poem that was written by AI. So I don't get to take any credit for it at all. And I'm going to share it with you as we wrap. It's called the Mentally Wealthy Manifesto. I don't know about a manifesto. That sounds kind of scary. Manifestos usually come with like bad stuff afterwards. But don't worry about me. Anyway, so it says, I am not just a speaker. I am a voice that shifts atmospheres and ignites and awakenings. I carry messages that heal, awaken, and rebuild. My words are not filler. They are freedom. I was not called to fit in. I was called to call others out of their silence, shame, and smallness. I do not chase stages. I create them. And every platform I step onto is made sacred by my presence. I am aligned, anointed, and in overflow. I speak from a healed place, not a hidden one. My pain has been processed. My story has been sharpened. And now I speak not just to be heard, but to awaken the unheard in others. I do not perform, I pour. I do not hustle, I harvest. And what I've planted in secret is blooming in public. And I receive it without apology. I am mentally wealthy, rich in peace, wisdom, clarity, and connection. My mind is sound, my spirit is fed, my voice is clear, and my path is divinely ordered. I'm not waiting to be chosen. I'm the answer someone has been praying for. So today I rise, rooted, ready, and reigning. From AI, ChatGPT, y'all. Give ChatGPT a little, yay, ChatGPT, woohoo! So thank you guys again for this time. It's amazing. We're at 10 till. If you don't have any other questions, we're going to go ahead and end this live session. Please share this with everybody that you can. There is a nugget of something in this conversation that will save someone's day and possibly their lives. Okay. All right. Well, bye, guys. Thanks for coming on. I'll see you soon. Some of y'all will see later today.
For hosting.
Thank you.
Thank you all.